everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to wrap up our three-part series on clean eating. So, we're going to dive into preservatives, heavy metals in foods, BPAs, and then give our final thoughts and recommendations on how to even move forward with all this information. So, please join us. We hope you like the episode. Preservatives. I mean, I don't know a ton about preservatives. I just basically know like BHAs, BHTs, TBHQ, like brominated vegetable oils, sodium benzoate, polysorbate 80s. Those are all things like be on the lookout for. And we talked about kind of all around it, but and I know I've talked about in other episodes, but like a good way, like you don't have to remember all this stuff. You can actually download the Yucca app, YUKA, and I saw EWG also has an app, and you can literally scan stuff while you're grocery shopping, and
Yeah,
it will
that's so
tell
helpful.
you the chemicals to watch out for. And it's good because it'll show you like whether it's like a big red flag or like something little, like maybe the gums that I'm talking about, like it's not really a hot topic as much as like some of the artificial colors and preservatives, but it'll tell you, and you can click on it and it'll tell you why. It'll say polysorbate 80, whatever. I don't know for sure if this is it, but like can cause cancer or is there endocrine disruptor, whatever. So it'll at least give you the information so that as you keep seeing it, then your brain will realize like, oh, wait, no, this is not cool. Like Yucca already told me that this was a bad chemical. But at the beginning, I was just like scanning everything.
Yeah, that's
And I
really
still
helpful
scan
because
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
stuff.
people, yeah, a lot of people are really overwhelmed to embark on this journey because it's so much to think about and remember. Well, that's where that app comes in. You don't have to worry about that so much, you know? It's a great
Yeah.
place to start, that's for sure.
And luckily, I guess with foods, I find it a lot easier to navigate. But like products like lotions and stuff like that are much harder because there's a lot of different chemicals in those. And like, not every one of them is bad, but they all kind of sound bad, because it's
Yeah.
like their chemical name and not just like, like a normal name that we're used to. So
That's
I
why I
love
like a
it.
lot of labels. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you off.
You're fine. Please cut me
But
off. I will
that's
not
why
stop talking.
but that's why I like a lot of labels these days. I notice they will say the chemical name and then it'll have in parentheses the common name. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really helpful. I like that people are doing that now.
It is. It is for sure. So another topic that I'm like super big into is like heavy metals contamination. So bringing me back to my environmental background here, and I follow Lead Safe Mama online. I
Yeah,
really like
she's
the work
great.
that she does. It's very scientific. She has the instrument. The instrument reads the metals analysis inside the metals. Um, it's valid data. But what's crazy is like she'll put out like stuff that she determines, like she'll reach out to the company, like the Stanley cups is the biggest one right now because they have lead at the bottom of the Stanley cups, not in contact with the drinking surface, but still. And she will like reach out to these companies and tell them, and man, they like hate her.
Yeah, they don't like that. Just like what's the one I was really upset about because I had just gotten one, the KitchenAid. I
Oh
had
yeah, the KitchenAid
just bought
mixers.
one. I was so excited because I was on my sourdough kick, finally making that, and I don't have time to knead dough all day. And just to find out that the attachments that come with it are coated it like the coating around them have lead in them, and KitchenAid wasn't gonna do anything
Yeah, they
about
don't
it.
care.
Instead, they
And they'll just
said you
like,
can buy our stainless steel
yeah,
set for a hundred
thank you.
dollars.
Like, so you
Yeah,
make it, but you still give us the crappy toxic
right.
stuff because why? It's cheaper and they sell it for the same price as the good stuff. So it's like this huge
Yeah,
markup for them to just give us the crap.
exactly.
And but yeah, everybody like those big companies, they like discredit her and call her just a blogger or an influencer when in actuality she's conducting like scientific experiments that are valid and has valid data
Mhm.
that they just don't like and they don't want the public to know about. But
And that's what happens a lot of the times when people expose these companies. They ruin their reputation. They say, "Oh, conspiracy theorists," and people run with that.
mhm.
Like you should really just try to listen to these people before you write them off as a conspiracy theorist or tinfoil hat person and all that stuff.
Yeah, like
because
you're trusting the like multi-million or billionaire companies and you think that they have your back. No, they don't
no.
have your back. They do not. They want their money.
Follow the money.
Yes. And while, a lot of influencers do make money on slinging products and stuff like that, I mean, you just have to find someone credible to watch, and not everything someone says,
Well,
any person, is going to be the right thing. Like you have to make your own decisions about things
yeah.
and not just do it because someone told you to do it.
And don't dismiss someone because they're selling something, because a lot of influencers, this is their job. They spend all day, they put a lot of, it takes a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of
uh
research, a lot of editing, a lot of
Dude.
time to make content. So why shouldn't they make money doing it? I mean, we've put in a lot of, say us for example,
Yes,
we put
exactly.
in so much time to learn what we know. Like, so if, and most of the time these people are selling you stuff they believe in, that they
Yes.
trust, that they've looked into, and they know it's safe and good for you, and they're passing that information along, and yes, they get a commission off of it, but at least you watch these people and you learn who you can trust. If it's, so say we came on here but we started trying to sell you Skittles, then you would know we were full of bullshit, because why would we talk about all this stuff and then try to sell you Skittles? That's a
Yeah,
really weird
exactly.
example, but that's how you gotta figure out who you can trust, and it's pretty obvious if you're paying attention.
Yes, yes, for sure. So let's say if mama, she does a lot of work on products and things like that, but she also puts out a lot of stuff about food contamination. And it's kind of, I mean, I've always heard about like fish having mercury, like tuna, for example. Like I'd heard that before. I knew, you shouldn't have tuna a ton because you can get mercury poison. In fact, my aunt and her husband in New York, they were like binging on tuna all the time, and they both like got called back on like some annual like blood screening that they had like really high levels of mercury in their blood. And so they're
Wow.
real big about not eating too much of it because they were eating like, like tuna, like seared tuna, and like tuna fish in a can, like lots of salads of that. And like their just diet was very heavy in tuna. And tuna is like a bioaccumulator fish. So tuna is a very large fish that eats smaller fish in the course of its lifetime. Every time it eats a fish, it's accumulating its toxic load inside of itself, and lead and all that stuff accumulates in like fatty deposits and things. So it's constantly accumulating more and more and more and more over time. And when you eat that bigger fish, you are eating all of the lead that all the other, or not lead, mercury, that all the other fish have had in their lifetime. So you have to be careful with
Wow.
bigger fish that eat other fish because they're always going to be bioaccumulating whatever is present in that water, whatever in that environment.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you really want to stick to like smaller type fish, fish that like eat like seaweed and other like smaller crustaceans and things, and like crawfish and stuff like that. They're like bottom feeders. Bottom feeders are actually the best you can eat because they don't bioaccumulate that stuff. Now, when you get into
Oh,
farm stuff, that even though they're like
yeah.
that, that can be an unsanitary situation that we're not
Yeah,
going to
like
go
farmed
into.
salmon and
Yeah, it's like
tilapia. Like, you
disgusting.
want to get wild caught because they literally like eat their own poop and all kinds of bad stuff.
Yeah, they
Like,
keep
that's
them
just
in
not a
these
natural
huge like
environment.
vats in water, like tanks
Yeah.
inside, like nets inside of a tank kind of thing. And it's just like filthy. And like the fish are like growing extra, well, maybe not growing extra eyes, but like their eye will just be like decayed out and like half
Yeah.
dead and like weird, weird stuff. So, yeah, you
Yeah.
definitely
I
want to,
always
if you
get,
can, do like local and like bottom feeding type fish and
yeah, or wild
crustaceans.
caught. Like, if I buy
Yeah.
salmon, I get wild caught,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
I
believe
mean, I
so.
don't,
There's
yeah,
some
that's
stuff on
that's what I do.
salmon. I
I
don't
thought that
even
was a
eat
better
salmon. I don't get
choice.
into it.
Okay, I just started getting into it because they say it's so good for you. So,
Yeah, but it's just
but
fish can be a little tricky because I don't know why. Well, I mean, I guess it is. It's with everything, but fish have like a lot of heavy metal contamination probably because of like the water. But then I guess you could probably say the same thing for other animals as
I don't,
well.
that's why I feel really weird about that. I don't know enough about the heavy metal thing, but I feel like if you go down that hole, you can find it in anything.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so if it's in everything, then it just can't, there's a missing link somewhere, something we don't know or understand about maybe the way our body processes it, or the way it's occurring in nature or whatever, I don't know. But fish has always been like, from hunter gatherer time, like one of the best things for people to eat. It's
Hmm.
been the main thing that people have eaten, it's very always been known to be very good for you. So it's like hard to say, what I mean, like, when it comes to fruits and vegetables that have the heavy metal, I feel like if you looked into each one, they probably have some type of metals in them.
Well, I think the main
And it,
takeaway here is that you just can't have too much of one thing. Like, you can't eat
yeah.
fish every single day. You can't eat rice every single day because it's high in arsenic. And certain locations have more of it. Like in Texas and Louisiana, we have more arsenic in our soil than in other parts of, in California and in India and things like that. So you definitely want to stick to that. But whenever you're consuming the same thing all the time, then that's when you get in trouble, I think. When you have it in moderation, it's okay. But, like there are small things you can do. Like with fish, try to eat the smaller fish and just eat tuna and big fish, on occasion. With rice, you can buy from like California or India, and also you can actually soak it to remove a lot of those metals that are on like in the rice. So if you soak it overnight and then you rinse it the next day, then supposedly like some certain percentage of that contamination actually comes out of the rice. So it's just like thinking ahead or just rinsing it's good. Um Chocolate has a lot of lead in it, and like there's some different, like if you go online you can google, and there's some chocolate bars that have been assessed and tells you which ones are higher in lead, and that's just can be environmentally, if there's like a region that's like got a lot of chocolate production, but that unfortunately that soil has a lot of lead in it, then you're going to have a lot of lead contamination in it because of the way the plant grows and uptakes lead, as
But
a
is
part
this
of.
naturally occurring metals, or
In some
is
cases,
this
yes, and in
soil
some
that's been
cases,
polluted?
no. In
Huh?
some cases, it's natural. Like with rice, our soil is just naturally high in arsenic. I think because of like the fluvial, like river nature of the deposits of our land. Um, but in some cases, it's because of like environmental pollution. But I think in most cases, it's a natural. There's like just lead
Because I've
naturally.
read in articles that, like, I don't know which one it was. I don't know if it was arsenic or not, because I'm pretty sure I was reading about rice that, if it's naturally occurring, then our bodies just eliminate it. I'm not sure if it's arsenic. I'm not saying that. I don't know exactly which one it was. I'd have to
Yeah,
look up the article. But if it was naturally occurring, our bodies just eliminate it through our kidneys. It was
yeah,
only when it was, I'm not at a loss for the
yeah.
word, like,
Like man-made kind of,
yeah, like it
or
was put into the soil, or
well,
into the soil from an unnatural,
but I mean,
like synthetic.
whenever you think about what is arsenic, what is lead, like when we go way back to the basics, it's a element on the periodic table. So conceivably, even if it's man-made, it's still the same thing, And like
I know, but
I get the argument of that, and I think that is to a certain degree, but like there's also been kids that have been completely lead poisoned from eating like recently like cassava products and things that have a lot of lead in them. Um so I mean it can happen where a child eats like tons of this stuff and it's natural, but it still gives them like lead poisoning and causes
I
like
just feel like there's
neurological
I
issues.
don't know. We're just having a little debate here. So don't take anything that we are saying for certain. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
we're
that I feel like
learning.
there might have been more, there could be more to that story that's not understood.
There could
Maybe
be.
those kids were exposed to lead from, like, their lead exposure was already high from something else, and then eating that cassava just like threw them over the edge.
Yeah.
I just, I can't see how naturally occurring metals being in soil in certain areas. I mean, imagine the people who live there. I mean, and if they were only living off of their land and eating off of their land, I mean, are they all going to
Yeah.
die?
I
I
don't know.
mean, I just feel like logically that just can't, something, I understand what you're saying makes sense, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know. And so I mean, I
Yeah,
still eat
it's
rice. I eat
something we
rice
should
all
bring
the
up.
time. I try not to buy from Texas, Louisiana to try to lessen the load of arsenic. I still eat chocolate. I eat sweet potatoes have lead as well as cassava. And I mean, I eat sweet potatoes all the time too. So I'm just like not trying to go like some people go overboard. Like when cassava came out, they were just like eating
Yeah.
a ton of that siete stuff with like tons of it. And then it's like every meal you're having it over and over and over again. And so I think that's where you kind of can maybe get in a
Yeah.
little more trouble.
And I mean, you might have a point there. I mean, maybe we were never meant to eat these certain foods in such high proportions. Like I say that
Mm-hmm.
with grains all the time. We were never meant to eat so much grains because it doesn't even occur in nature that
Yeah.
plentifully, to be making breads and all these things, So maybe we just weren't meant to eat them in
Yeah. It's called a
large proportions.
balanced diet.
Everything is always about balance. It always comes back to balance. That's like my favorite word lately. Just
Yeah.
balance.
So one thing that I started a while back is like I don't really use like canned foods. Like I just felt like the whole BPA thing, like they all have like linings and like um like you'll see on some cans, like it'll say like this is not known to have BPAs, which kind of tells
Mm.
me like you're just like having it out because like you have a feeling that it probably does, but it doesn't. And like what's to say like whatever is allowed today that's not BPAs, it'll just be something different in a couple years. Oh, wait, we found out this was bad. Like I
Yeah.
just buy beans in bulk and I like cook them in big batches, you
Yeah.
know or whatever. I mean, that's
That's
the
it.
only thing. Like, my vegetables and stuff I buy either frozen. Frozen's like a really great option. Frozen food usually like holds on to its flavor longer, and you can get stuff out of season when you do that. But I
What do
just like
you do
don't.
for tomato sauce? Because that's been my issue. I can do the frozen vegetables, I can do the dry beans, but tomato sauce, and I like tomato sauce. We use that a lot, or tomato paste.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you
I
have a
buy it in a
solution for
glass
that,
jar,
huh?
all
Do they have? I've
glass.
never.
Oh,
You,
what?
you
They don't. They sell that at Walmart. Glass tomato. They sell it at Aldi.
Oh, I don't know. I don't. Not that I'm always going straight for like the organic. I mean, I haven't like looked around a lot at
Yeah,
Walmart.
they should
Maybe I
have
could order it.
organic tomato. Tomato sauce, not. I'm thinking spaghetti sauce.
Oh yeah, no, just tomato sauce and tomato paste.
Well, if you can't find
Um,
tomato sauce, then get the marinara, like the spaghetti sauce that's just like basil or whatever, like the most basic spaghetti sauce and use that. I
yeah.
mean, of course, it has sugar, but I just had a Primal Kitchen one that was really good. And then those spaghetti sauces come in like a jar that you can reuse, like a mason jar.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look online and see if they have something.
I mean, Whole Foods
But yeah,
sells tomato sauce in a glass jar, but I don't know what every all the other stores have.
okay.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, dry
beans I
beans
soak
and
in and I cook those like in an instant pot. Because instant pot you can do beans in like an hour, even if you didn't soak them.
yeah. And if you're into canning, you can cook the beans
Ooh,
and then can them, and then you'd have your own glass can. They're in glass jars, so that's
dude,
always an
I am
option.
so gonna do that this year. I'm gonna have so many plants, it's gonna like blow everyone's mind. They're gonna be like, Heather went crazy this
Me too.
year.
I'm like, I'm trying to get a food forest in my backyard.
Yeah. So this year, like I said, I went gluten free. And that was a big, big, big change because I went through the sourdough revolution last year too. And that was like really hard to be like, okay, well, I'm not doing this anymore. And like I'm not I haven't even went down the path of like trying to DIY like gluten free
The
like
well,
sourdough and
gluten
stuff.
free flour is so when you go, anybody who does sourdough knows there's a lot of like waste, or you're either wasting when you do the discard, or you're having to find a ton of recipes to make sure you use it, cooking
Yeah.
things that you didn't really like, weren't planning to cook or wanting to cook, just because you have to use this discard now. So,
Dude,
and then
adding like wheat
organic.
to every single thing.
Yeah. And to organic gluten-free flour is pricey. Like it's really pricey.
Yeah.
Um that's why I haven't gone down that journey. It's like you said, it's just easier to just not eat it.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
like
mean,
I've
it's
been
not easy
getting
because I
like
love
some
bread, but
some gluten-free bread they sell at Whole Foods that actually like has really really small ingredients, no seed oils and stuff. But it's kind of gross. I mean, just
Yeah,
like,
gluten-free bread from the store is gross.
yeah. So I just like, I mean, if like we went to the beach and we're gonna make sandwiches, I mean, I need a bread, so it was fine with that. But like, do I just want to like snack on it? No. Um, and then I
Yeah.
have like it's like a lot of rice pasta, essentially,
Yeah, so
which is probably problematic.
I want to make a note on that. So a lot of times people want to go gluten-free, but like then when they go gluten free, they go crazy with gluten free flour, which is a lot of rice. And then, like you said, they end up having really high arsenic levels.
Yeah,
And so that makes your point pretty valid there with that one, because I did read that people end up having really high arsenic levels, and then so they're trying to get rid of gluten to improve their health situation, and then they have high levels of arsenic, which makes them not really see results because they're being plagued with something else. Um,
yeah,
so replacing gluten with a ton of rice is not the answer. Now, getting rid of gluten though is I recommend that to everybody to at least try it for 1 month, because I think personally, and I know there's a lot of people out there that would agree, that most people don't tolerate gluten well. And we
mhm,
can get that's going to be a whole podcast when we talk about that, but um the gluten protein today is not the gluten protein of the past or the bread from the past. It's very different, very inflammatory. And I think a lot of health issues are caused from gluten. So if you could try to eliminate gluten from your diet as much as possible, maybe not completely, but as much as possible, I think it'll make a huge difference. And if you still want bread, sourdough is an option. So it's not completely gluten free, but it's so store bought bread is about 200,000 parts per million gluten. And sourdough bread is like 200 parts per million gluten. So it's a significant decrease in gluten.
mhm.
So that's just, food for thought. And just a little shout out for gluten free noodles, the Jovial brand, Jovil. I don't know if that's how, no,
Yeah,
Jovial,
jovial,
right?
jovial or jovial. I
Jovial,
don't know.
Jovial, I don't know. But that's a really good noodle brand. Like it tastes just like regular noodles, and
Yeah,
they're
and
gluten
Aldi
free and
has
organic.
Aldi has gluten-free noodles, and I think it's like $2 for a bag of like like a regular size bag of noodles. So it's like really,
Yeah,
I think good price point for that. It might be less. I don't even know. It's really cheap. You need to go. Um,
I know.
but yeah, it is a lot of rice flours and stuff like that. So it's like now my diet consists of like, I mean, we probably eat rice or rice product like almost every day. So, I'm going to get, I go to a functional doctor, and that's who, she says like most people are gluten intolerant too. She's like, you got to cut it out. But, maybe I'll get a arsenic test on my next blood work,
Yeah,
see what it looks like
and you'll
if
have to
my,
update us.
my gluten free has, done bad things to me. But, so it's difficult navigating this lifestyle. I mean, this is a huge, huge lifestyle change. This is like
Yeah,
everything you knew. I mean, food is integral to our lives. I mean, we survive on it. It's like a passion, like almost like a hobby, like to find new restaurants and new foods to eat and what we
yeah,
like. It makes us feel good. It's comfort food. So this is like a huge, huge, huge thing to like really digest. And it's hard like to come to these conclusions about our food and be disappointed in it and like mourn the things that you're not going to have anymore because you just like know better. There's just
exactly.
so much to it.
It really is a lifestyle change. I think it's a necessary lifestyle change, but like we said, not all at once. Take tiny baby steps. If you just change one thing, like you start buying, organic fruits and vegetables instead, or just organic bananas instead of, organic strawberries instead of regular strawberries,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and then next month do a different one. Just anything. Just educate yourself, because I think
Hmm.
educating yourself is going to make the difference in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When we know better, we automatically will start to do better.
And like, I just want everyone to think about it that's like off put by this because I feel like even a lot of my family and friends are going to be off put by this conversation. They're not going to like it. People are just don't want to hear this stuff. But ask
Yeah,
yourself if you feel like it's better or more normal to go to your doctor and get a prescription for whatever symptom you're having that could be related to food. Like, would it be better or
Exactly.
normal for you to go to the doctor and spend money there and get on a prescription that has 20 other side effects? Or, like, is it that big of a burden to eliminate gluten? You know?
Yeah. And just, it's called elimination dieting. Just try it, eliminating one thing for a month. See how you feel. And then once you introduce that back into your diet, see how
See
it
how
makes
you
you
feel.
feel.
Yeah.
And that's going to tell you pretty much what you need to know.
Yeah. And
It's
go look for
to,
yourself.
yeah.
Go like research and see what it said, like what we're talking about. If you like don't like, if you feel like I don't want to just believe what they're saying, then go spend, instead of looking at Instagram tonight, go dive into some food stuff and see what you find out.
Yeah,
You
because
know?
we're not trying to be out here being condescending or making people feel
No,
bad about their food choices. The reason we even do this is not because like we just love talking about food. We love talking about it because we know what we've learned, and we know what we've woken up to this, and we want to share it with the world. We want to share it with you because we know how big of a deal it is. Like, and there's so many others out there that have realized this, and we're out here sharing it, not to shove it down your throats or be condescending or judge you. It's because we feel like you need to know this.
and like we
It's
care enough to do this, like we care enough
yeah.
about your health that we want to share this with you, because it's like, we can do it and we can try to bring about change in our immediate family, but like I want to reach other people too, and I know you do too. Like, this stuff is
Yeah.
important. It's like critical to like our like survival, our like good survival, like feeling good, like getting better, being happy, like even like the
Yes.
mental aspect of a lot of this stuff, like being physically and mentally happier and healthier, like in
Yes.
like from a deep internal system being healthy, and like
Yes,
food
because
is big.
and to watch people suffer from autoimmune diseases, diabetes, cancer. You watch these children all have ADHD and be on medication,
Yeah.
autism. I mean, the list goes on, and we, after doing all the research we've done, and to know that the cause is probably something they're consuming, whether it's
Yes.
food or something in their environment or something they put on their body. It's like, we want you to know this because it could make all the like a world of difference in you or your child's life. Like,
Yes.
it's so important. It definitely makes a difference. It's change it whatever you put in or on your body or in your atmosphere, your environment, it affects you.
In your head, like what you listen to, what
Yes.
you watch, all of it
Yes.
in like it infects your whole being. And you can either set yourself up for success, or you can set yourself up for failure and disappointment and unhappiness and what you consume mentally and physically.
Yes, and that even goes on. Whatever we do in this life, it gets encoded into our. They have the science to back this up, that it gets encoded into our genes, and it goes into the next generations.
The tinfoil hat.
Yes, tinfoil hat. It's true though. It's true. I could back it up. I'll find the research. But yes, like these genes get we change. We express. We consume things that change the way our genes are expressed, and then that gets passed on to our children, and so on and so on. So it's not that our genes are faulty, it's that we're consuming things that are changing them. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
I for some
And
reason I thought you were talking about like spiritually, like our soul will go on to change. But yes,
oh,
that
I mean,
that's
I could
much
go
more.
down that road too. No, actually, genetics, like it changes the genetics that, like,
Yes.
whatever, like you even, I mean, even your emotional state gets encoded into your genetics, and that passes on to your children.
Yes.
Like, which really messes my head up when I think about that. Like, you know,
I
but
totally agree with that. But and so that's hard. The mental part, I think, is the hardest part. I really do. But second to that, it's the expense factor. That it's
yeah,
more expensive. It will be, unfortunately, when when you have to buy these organic products and read the labels. Like, typically, like I said, with the coconut milk, the more expensive product was the one that didn't have the bad chemicals in it. So unfortunately, eating like this is also a bit more expensive.
yeah. Um,
But
Buying
like
in bulk helps.
It helps, for sure. Like
Yeah.
there's things like Azure, Azure, they have a website. You can buy stuff in bulk from them. And usually they have like a location where you can pick up. Costco is decent. You can find some stuff online. I get pecans in bulk online from a place in Texas. That's the best pecans ever. I can't even. Um, but also you have to realize that like, but we shouldn't expect our food to be cheap, right?
Yes. It's just you don't so a lot of people like they don't want to rock some cheap shoes,
Yeah.
that's
You're
shameful
not
to them,
gonna
but
wear I remember this guy had like back when Dada's was like a popular brand. I don't know. He like got these shoes and they're called Babas.
yeah. Like so many people are ashamed of these things, but they have no problem eating inferior food, because they think that that's just what it should be. Like shame on people for charging more for their better product.
Hmm.
It's and a lot of times like a lot more effort and money goes into growing these things or creating these things in a more healthy way, so they have to charge more. It just is what it is. But I think a lot of us can make these changes, make changes in our lives, lower the subscriptions we have per month or
Yes.
whatever, because I did it myself. That's why I know, because I'm not rich, we don't have a ton of money, we live on one income by choice because I want to be home with my kids and I
Hmm.
want to devote my life to doing these types of things. So I had to out a lot of things. Like I buy my clothes from the thrift store now.
Hmm.
I don't care about brands, which I did before. I did care about these things. I'm not saying I never did, but and I've constantly just find ways. I ask myself, do I really need this? Like,
Yeah.
do I, we don't have to do everything to. A lot of the things we buy are just to impress other people anyway.
Yeah, like I buy most of my clothes from like Target or Amazon, but then I recently got into ThreadUp and started buying like
Oh,
some stuff like secondhand. And like all the girls' clothes, like we have a place called Once Upon a Child, and I literally will get like a Tupperware bin and fill it up with clothes, and I bring it over there, and they give me money for some of this stuff, not everything, but some stuff. And I like literally like the other day, a couple weeks ago, I had $70 that they gave me for that. So I let the girls go and pick out the
nice.
clothes they wanted. And so, like, I'm not trying to buy them all new clothes, man. They grow all the time.
I know, especially kids, because they ruin everything anyway,
Oh,
and then they
and
grow
that
out
too.
of it and all that. So,
But yeah, I
if
mean,
there's a
it's
will,
all
there's a
about
way.
prioritizing. Like, do you really need that? Do you need, nails every other week? Like I used to. I did.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of these things, this consumerist mentality of like having to have this and another one of those, like isn't necessary. It doesn't bring you happiness to have all these things. In the end, like I've been seeing it a lot recently where like not maybe not our parents, but our parents have passed away, and then you have to go through all this stuff that they've accumulated over their whole life.
Yes.
And it was like, so valuable to them, but like, to the next generation, it's like, well, it's just like all going in the trash. And it's like really, really sad to see that. But it's also sad to leave your children with the burden of having to clean up like your entire life. And so like having all this stuff is just
Yeah.
ultimately a burden.
Yes. And what is the best? I this is a thing I used to say a while back. The best thing you can give your children is good health.
Yeah.
Like
And
seriously. And
connection and your connection
yes,
with them.
right. And that all plays into it, right? And I mean, and also like we talked about all the health problems that these foods cause, but they also cause our mental health
Yes.
issues. Like it
Yes.
causes all of that. That's not exempt from, like, your brain is not exempt from being affected by the food you eat.
Absolutely.
So let's give our kids what really matters.
Yes. Let's give ourselves what really matters. All right, guys, we have talked for a long time. We are very, very, very passionate about this. Please excuse us. Like we said, don't mean to come off condescending or anything like that. We just really are passionate about this and we want you to take something away from this episode. Um, so we hope you liked it. I hope that everyone please likes and subscribes. We're doing these podcasts. It's on all major podcast platforms. We're loading our videos on YouTube. We have a Facebook page. Our website is under construction, but we're going to have lots of great stuff. Um, trying to do a little bit more social media stuff, cool videos. I would like to do a video shopping at Walmart, not Whole Foods, with the Yucca app and kind of show what I'm
Yes.
talking about. So we're trying to get out there. We're doing this because we're passionate about it. We're not making money off of this or anything like that. All right, thanks guys for listening. We hope you really enjoyed this episode. Next week, we are going to talk about what we feel is a super important topic, the sun. It doesn't get enough attention that it deserves. And we're going to go into why we believe the sun is so important, what we believe some common misconceptions are about the sun, and we hope you join us. So come back next Friday, check us out. Thank you guys. We please hope you like and subscribe. And we'll see you later. Bye.